Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my TED Talk. Wow, that does sound cool. Okay, so if I told you that there was a 3,000-year-old civilization in India where fragrances have been distilled for at least a minimum of 1,000 years, and where chess, the game the world plays, was first invented, would you believe me? I don't think so. But that place does exist, and that place is called Kannauj, and that is my home. Now, when people think of ancient civilizations, they're usually thinking about the pyramids, you're thinking about Rome, you're thinking about the Colosseum, you're maybe even thinking about dinosaurs. But is anyone even talking about Kannauj? Most people don't even know Kannauj exists. So Kannauj is not just a town, Kannauj is history in a bottle, right? Because for centuries we've been bottling the scent of flowers, of spice, wood, herbs, and even bottling the scent of rain. Yes. Now, speaking of scent, let me just give you a little something about how scent and memory is interlinked. Like all of us have some kind of olfactive memory related to scent, be it from childhood, be it about your mother, grandmother, or some place you visited. One of my most distinct memories of childhood is when I was 6 years old and I was being dropped off at boarding school. This is 1994 in Missouri. And if anybody has ever been to an Indian boarding school, you would know that it's essentially like Hogwarts, but except for the magic, you got 5 a.m. PT drills, and you got a warden who thinks that smiling is a punishable offense, right? So, okay, so I walked into my dormitory. I see this giant, like this long row of these bunk beds. And what first hit me was not the fact that my parents are going to dump me here. No. The first thing that hit me was the smell of fish and coconut oil. But that's because my warden was from Kerala and her quarters were right there. And I gagged because obviously in the 6 years of my existence, I never smelled anything like this. I was questioning my whole life, all 6 years of them. And then in that moment, I felt like my childhood was over. A, being abandoned, and then the smell. Anyway, fast forward a couple of years, I'm in Delhi, and I get the exact same scent again. And instantly, I was transported back to that time when I'm holding my parents' hand with that feeling, looking at the bunk beds, knowing that, oh my God, this is it. These guys are going to leave me, and they're going to leave. So that's when I realized that fragrance is not just about the smell. It's like a time machine. It can instantly transport you across years in one single breath. Now, this is something that brands have caught on and started something like scent marketing essentially. So, scent marketing is olfactive branding. You've all walked into a hotel, you've all walked into an airport where there's a scent that's dispersed. So, that is essentially the signature scent of that particular place because people want their consumers to recall. Every time they leave the hotel and go out and they'll smell something, they want you to think of the hotel. So this is what scent marketing is essentially about. And you don't just see a five-star hotel, you smell it. Luxury brands, high-end boutiques, even like everybody is using a signature scent because olfactive recall is 60% higher than visual recall, which is why it's very, very important. So today, Kannauj's fragrances are gracing like every place in India and internationally. Me personally, I have created the signature scent for a lot of people. Karan Mahal is the royal residence in Srinagar in Kashmir, where I had the opportunity to create the signature scent, which not only encapsulates the beauty of Srinagar, but also the lineage of the royal family. On the other side, then there are the palaces in Udaipur, and having to create a signature bespoke fragrance for the Maharaja that he gives personally. Because when you are royalty, you're not sending thank you notes, you're sending your signature scent, because that's how you roll. So this is the power of fragrance. It's not just about memory, but it's also about how it shapes perception, how it creates emotional connections, and it also defines luxury. Now, coming to the crossroads. Coming up with a grand idea is easy, like we can sit, chill with our friends, think about something, and be like, oh yeah, that's a fantastic plan. But then acting on it, that is where the real dilemma begins. So like most people from small towns, you had two choices. Either you move to a big city, get a high-paying job, live in a high-rise and complain about traffic, or you stay and build something. Every time I thought about leaving, something pulled me back. Maybe it was nostalgia, maybe it was guilt, or maybe it was even my ancestors haunting me in my dreams being like, where are you going, bro? You need to be here. So because let's be honest, everything that I have today, literally, I built none of it. I was born into it. This is all the work that my ancestors have done before me. So what am I supposed to do? Would I just like walk away, sell everything, move somewhere else? Or do I stay back and build on it. Of course, I chose to stay because otherwise my mother A would have abandoned me. Number two, it was also the opportunity to create something that did not exist. And creation and change are two things that are very core to my existence. Now let's talk about the revival of Kannauj. Kannauj being the ancient city, right? I mean, like I just told you, birthplace of chess, the perfume capital. It was a flourishing town. It was also the capital of northern India for the longest period of time, right? Kannauj is all about fragrance. Today, everything in fragrance in Kannauj is generational. The people who are growing the flowers are generational. The people who are plucking the flowers are generational. The ones that are distilling us, we are generational, and even the people making the copper stills are generational. So with a history so rich, you would think that this town would be thriving, right? Wrong. The industry was stagnating, the artisans were dwindling, and the younger generation wanted nothing to do with this. Most people today can't even find Kannauj on the map. So what is the next step? Basically stay back, create something, create an opportunity for people that are there so that people don't leave the city. So I asked myself, I'm like, why didn't anybody think about perfume tourism before? I mean, it's not like a genius stroke. It's a very, very simple thing. Why didn't somebody come and create perfume tourism? Because we romanticize wine tasting in France. We do chocolate pairing in Belgium. But fragrance experience, that was just limited to airport aisles at duty free. So this is when perfume tourism started, an initiative that would bring people into the heart of the fragrance industry, into the land of fragrance, which is Kannauj, 1,000 years, much before France could even spell the word fragrance. That's how old the Indian perfumery is. And it worked, and it really did. In 2 years' time, this initiative has had at least over 200 visitors minimum. I mean, we've really not done the exact count, but it's over 200 people from all over the world that have come and experienced Kannauj, have experienced the history, the culture, the food, all of it. And this entire thing has generated roughly about 40 lakhs in revenue for the city. Now, this is just one person's effort. This is just my effort. But what if 10 other people joined forces? That would be about 2,000 visitors plus to Kannauj and over 5 crores in revenue. Because the idea was to make sure that every kid that is born in Kannauj today is going to grow up in a tourist destination, something I never had while growing up. Right? When this kid is going to grow up, he's going to see that his parents are working in hospitality or his mother's working in perfumery. He's going to think that, okay, I have so many opportunities here. Why do I need to leave? I have a small farm. I have a little shop. I could run a cafe, or I could open, something in hospitality, or I could open a perfume shop. So that is what the whole motive was. Now, of course, the government noticed just, at the right time. And for the first time in the history of Kannauj, guys, we have a tourism officer that is appointed like in the 3,000-year history of Kannauj. I know it sounds really small, but I mean, these small wins make you, reassure you basically in what you're doing. Thank you, that's so sweet. Thank you. So, where was I? Now my flow's broken. Anyway, so Kannauj's revival got the state's attention. And, they've been promoting perfume tourism. And we're also hosting a perfume festival every year, which is going to be an annual event, which is going to be at par with any of the other things that happen in Grasse in France. That is one. The other thing is, I'm working with the Archaeological Survey of India. So because, like I said, Kannauj being an ancient town, the capital, there's a lot of stone carving, terracotta, a lot of dilapidated fort walls. Every time somebody digs up today in Kannauj to build a house, there are artifacts that are coming out of the ground. I kid you not. It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Tomb Raider kind of stuff. And, because also, what does India's monuments need? We need more than just ASI signs and pigeons, or like some love scribblings on the wall. We need to turn them into ticketed centers where people could have art, culture, history, right? That's what preservation is. Anyway, moving on, coming back to all of this has happened. Now it's about uplifting people. So people often ask me, like, what is the most rewarding thing or the most rewarding part of this journey? For me, I feel this question is absolutely redundant. And if I had a penny for every time somebody asked me, I would have at least 452 pennies, And for me, it's not just about the fragrance, of course. Fragrance is an integral part. Fragrance is why I'm here. But it's also about the people. Now, for example, let's take Ravi's journey. Ravi is a halwai in Kannauj. for the last 10 years, all he was doing was catering to the weddings in the village. Today, Ravi has interacted with guests from 10 different countries. He knows how to make gyozas, he does handmade tagliatelle, he does raviolis, he does handmade fresh spaghettis. Now, from samosa to gyoza is a big transformation for somebody like Ravi. You know, that itself is real change. It's grassroots change right at the bottom level. Women's empowerment is another thing. So women's empowerment has been integral to my family. We have a non-profit girls school that was set up in 1928 for the education of girls, pre-independence, which is, I think, very cool for back in the day. What we're doing today is that we want the girls, because they're all from marginalized societies. It's a free school. So we want the girls that once they finish their 12th and their high school, they can basically join the perfume industry. So vocational courses of perfumery or hospitality, anything that could make them independent financially rather than just getting married after 12th is what their parents usually do. That again is real impact. Like that's again, like I said, is where the real change is. It's not just about business. It's actually about the impact that you create, not even today, the impact that you're creating and the legacy you're leaving in the years to come. Because all the effort that I put in today, it's not going to give me instant fruition, of course, but it is something that long after I'm gone, at least the city, this craft that has been going on for 1,000 years of fragrance still survives and thrives. So the success of Kannauj, it also offers a blueprint for other traditional crafts across India. Right? You have Madurai and jasmine, you have Kashmir for lavender, you have Assam for oud. Every region has its own olfactive identity, and by creating these immersive tourism experiences, we can preserve these traditions. You know, you can generate sustainable livelihoods and turn forgotten towns into thriving destinations. Now for the closing, quick closing. Perfume tourism is more than just an experience, guys. It's actually a movement. It's something obviously which is very close to my heart. Imagine if one person armed with 40 lakhs of savings and a borderline irrational belief in Kannauj can do this. Imagine what is the possibility if people across India just embrace their olfactive heritage. Because fragrance is not just about something you wear. Fragrance is something you remember. Fragrance is something that you experience. It also shapes the way you experience the world. And that unseen force, the power of scent, is what we are bringing back to life. Thank you.